Hi, I'm Orla Muldoon and I'm a psychologist. Mostly, when you tell people that you're a psychologist, they get a little bit uncomfortable. They're afraid that you can see their deep, dark secrets, you can read their mind, or worse, you can see their hidden vulnerability, the thing that they really were trying not to let you see. People associate psychology with mental health, but psychology is an awful lot more than studying mental health. Psychology is about how we want to live our lives and what we want to do with our lives, big decisions and little decisions. Life is full of stresses and strains, and there are many decisions that we need to make on a regular basis, and sometimes there are big decisions that we need to make. So as you approach the end of secondary school, you might be concerned about what it is you want to do with the rest of your life, as they say. And that can feel like a big pressure to make a decision about the rest of your life. I know, because I made those decisions, and I often made the wrong ones. I fell into psychology by accident, and then discovered that it was something that could help me make good choices. So I want to talk to you about how psychology can help you find your way. When first years come to start their degree in psychology at UL, they often think that they'd like to be a clinical psychologist or a child psychologist. Mostly, they tell me things like they would like to help other people. And I always say, in response to that, when we're involved in our teaching and learning together, that it's most important that they learn first to look after themselves. Whilst we all want to be kind and compassionate to other people, we can only do this if we look after ourselves first. I'm not advocating mass selfishness. I'm suggesting first that before we try and be responsible to the many people that we'd like to be responsible to, that we figure out a way of looking after our own mental health, finding our own way in life, making sure that we make the right choices. Central to making the right choices is knowing who you are. But knowing who you are can be quite difficult because you can be lots of different things to lots of different people. Sometimes my students find me a little bit intimidating to deal with. They feel that it can be hard to disagree with the professor of psychology when they're in a psychology class. I find that my daughter doesn't find it terribly difficult to disagree with me, nor indeed do my sisters. And my husband is really very good at it. So here we have a situation where I am very different things to very different people. So how do I figure out the right choices with different people, making sure that at the same time I'm being true to myself and finding my way in a way that honours both the things that I value and the people that I want to honour and value too? Well, I'd like to tell you about some tricks that I've learned from psychology. Some ways in which you can combine the various stresses and demands that you will encounter as you make the transition from school life to university life, or maybe from university to career. Ways of dealing with the things that life throws at you. So, first, accept that life throws you curveballs. We don't like curveballs, but they come. You need to learn a whole load of skills to develop ways of dealing with the stresses and strains that will come your way. One of the best ways to do this is to develop a relationship with exercise. When students come onto my module in first year in UL, one of the things that we do together, some of them not so happily, some of them more happily, is that we run the Great Limerick Run. Some of them run, some of them walk. Some of them require more encouragement than others. Some of them take the opportunity and seize it with both hands. Running has been shown to be a very useful exercise because people use it as a habitual exercise. And psychologists and medics have shown us that exercise is as effective in dealing with mild to moderate depression as, for instance, antidepressants. So one way of managing our mental health, about feeling good about ourselves, about developing a sense of self-confidence, is to use exercise. I say this because I'm a runner myself. Well, I'm more of a plodder and a jogger than a runner, but running has helped me through bereavement, family illness, and the dark nights of the soul. So I recommend it to my students. And we do that collectively. Of course, there are horses for courses, or indeed runners for races, and sometimes some students don't like it. Other students wear their medal from the Great Limerick Run for several days after the event and really form a lifelong relationship with this form of exercise. Others find another way. The second tip I would give you about looking after yourself and finding your way is find your fellow travellers. When students come on to the undergraduate course in the University of Limerick, again in this module, we seek to encourage a way of collaborative learning. We encourage the students to get to know each other. There is very strong evidence, including lots of very fancy experiments from a colleague here in UL, that demonstrate that social support, having strong bonds with other people, improves your cardiovascular health, boosts your immunity, and protects your mental health. So we encourage our students to work together, to form close bonds, and hopefully you will find great friendships here that will travel through you in life the way that I found friendships when I was an undergraduate doing my psychology degree. And the last thing that I try and get my students to do is to get to know who they are, to think about those attributes that make them who they are and different to other people. We all have strengths and weaknesses, or indeed sometimes the same attribute can be a strength and a weakness. I would say that I'm a pretty sensitive person. That can be a good thing. That can mean that I'm very interested in people, I'm good at listening, and sometimes it can mean that I'm very attuned and able to find good solutions for people because I have been effective in my listening. It can also mean that when a tearjerker comes on the TV, I make a show of myself. And things like, Who Will Love My Children become a car wreck. So any particular attribute can be seen as a strength or a weakness. The key is knowing your own strengths and weaknesses so that you can play to them, or indeed so you can manage the particular difficulties that you encounter, paying attention to where your own vulnerabilities are. And remembering that those same vulnerabilities are the things that can make you a very good and powerful person to be around. So, I hope you have a sense that psychology is a powerful tool. I certainly have a great relationship with psychology. I believe in psychology as a discipline. It has helped me find my way. I hope that UL can be part of your journey, and I hope that you find your way.